Hey guys, so here we are. We're up to episode number 6 on the old sleeping trailer series, where we take a Walmart refrigerated van and turn it into a sleeping trailer for our deployments. We've got the bunk room and the front bathrooms built, and in this episode we're going to finish out and show you some more details, exactly how we mount the door, kind of the dividing wall, and then the second door is going to let us into the next 2 bunks in the bathroom and then into the flex space in the rear, so follow along. All right, so as we come into the bathroom, last time I think I kind of had this roughed out, but as you can see now with everything where it's going to be, this will trim out. So we'll put a mirror in the back, and then just above the mirror, we'll make the mirror work for those tall guys, and then we're going to put some cubbies, maybe 4 or 6 cubbies, so the truck drivers and each person that's going to use this particular bathroom has their own little private space above the mirror and below the mirror that they can put their stuff in. The camping toilet or the macerator toilet, it's a little bit lower. We're going to build a little pedestal up, and that'll hide this plumbing feature and the water and some of the power wires that we need to make all that work. Check back in our previous video when we talk about how that's going to work. But anyway, so there'll be, you know, cabinetry that'll cover all the plumbing up, sink there, and then the toilet will go in this area. And then we did this little bump out, and we're going to put deep shelves above like your shoulder height, so that once you are on the toilet, you'd have able to get to like toilet paper and those kind of things down low, kind of curve those shelves in. And then above here is going to be where the guys could utilize this space for towels, toiletries, and other things. And again, maybe a top cubby that lets everybody keep their personal stuff. So when we're in theater, the 2 guys that are using this bunk on each side would obviously use this restroom. And then the 2 or 3 guys that are in the big trucks, they have somewhere to sleep in their cabs of their big trucks, the sleeper bunk, but they don't have a bathroom. So that's why they would have this. So this would kind of give everybody their own space. And then if we ever went in like what we call light, if we took 4 or 5 guys or a couple pickup trucks, we could again go in small and have a way that everybody would have a bathroom and a place to go. Okay guys, so let me kind of ground you to where we are. So this is the front door in the trailer. We showed you this in the last video, and this is the forward bunk. We've just done the bathroom so you can kind of get an idea. And now what we're in is we're in the second bunk through the front door. And now this door right here, I still haven't put it in, but the door into this bunk is gonna be right here. It's gonna open up like this. That's another interesting thing. You guys ever do right-hand or left-hand doors? If you want to know which hand a door is, put your back to where the hinges are. So this would be a left-hand door and this would be a right-hand door. It always confused me, so if you ever see me in Home Depot doing this, I'm trying to decide which hand the door is. But anyway, so now you're in the second bunk, kind of gives you an idea. And the reason I have this area out is right in here, I'm going to put the mini split that's going to run the front bunk and this bunk. We're going to put the ceiling in, and you'll notice there's about 4 inches from the ceiling to the top of the trailer. So at this 8-foot line, there'll be a plywood ceiling. And so then you have that like 4.5 inches that's going to be the return. So the mini split will suck the return down, and then we'll have this little box area right here, and it'll pressurize to cool this room off, and it'll pressurize to cool the front room off. And then we'll go to the inside of these rooms and cut a little hole, and so then the hot air will return out of these rooms, and the cold air or the heat from the mini split will drop down in each one. And again, in this room, we've done the same thing like we did up front. We're going to have a bunk with a hinge. It's going to pivot up, and the mattress will go up against the wall. We're going to do shelving in here just like we did the other one, but it kind of gives you an idea now. You can see how the floor space lays out. You can see we're 1, 2, 3, 4 sheets of plywood. So that's 16 feet. So this is 15 feet linear. And so the trailer's about, 8.5 feet wide. We get about 8 feet of usable space inside because the walls are about 3 inches thick. So just to kind of give you guys an idea of where we are in the trailer, 0 to 15 feet on this wall right here. And we're able to get 2 independent bunks. We're able to get the shower with the commode and then the back bunk. So that'll kind of give you an idea of how this space lays out. And I've got all the lighting and all the junk in here, but it's tight, but it would be comfortable for somebody to live in. Give them an adequate room in this area here to dress. Plenty of storage under the bunk. Like I said, we'll have the shelves like we did in the other side, and this area right here will be the doorway to come in. And then the mechanical space up there for the mini split to do the HVAC in and out of these rooms. We've had some comments and questions, and they're really good. If you're not reading our comments, go down and read them. People have put a lot of really neat information about these trailers. But somebody asked me about pocket doors, and intuitively that's probably a good question, because the very first sleeping trailer I built, I designed it to take into account for pocket doors. In this trailer, I went away from the idea. One, because of the complexity of the pocket door. Two, I figured out in the first sleeping trailer that the pocket doors that you buy at Home Depot and Lowe's, they're a hollow core door, and they're designed to be statically installed, and all that weight going down the road, beating and banging, it pulls that top board out of the pocket door, and you have to go and replace all the pocket doors with solid core doors, which isn't a big problem because the hardware will support it, but it's just one more little thing you have to do. So in this particular trailer, I'm going back and trying to redo it with just the doors and thinking about right hand and left hand and where they swing, getting everything out of the way. Makes it a little bit tight coming in, because in some of the areas you do have to like open the door, negotiate yourself inside, and then shut the door back. But so far it hasn't been a real issue, and I think it's going to work out good for us. Okay guys, so now as we get through with that part, we've got a surprise for you. As we go back to that wall, you saw that wall we put up, so we've cut a new door. And that kind of gets us to a point that some folks have asked us about the details of how to put the door in. So what I really like about that is that means people are watching these videos and they're paying attention, because that is kind of a tricky thing, and the door in. So what you see here, this is a pre-hung door, exterior door from Lowe's. In a lot of RVs, you'll notice that the door swings out. And now Home Depot and Lowe's actually make exterior doors that swing out, but we didn't choose to use those this time. We just swing the door in. One thing I like about the door swinging in is if the door swung out, we'd always have to put the hinge on this side so that if it got left open or something, the wind would blow it shut. And I always just like the door swinging in, so we'll never have to worry about the door coming open and getting ripped off, or the wind messing with it or whatever. So it was just always cleaner. Also, I like the idea of once we install the steps to get in the trailer, I just like the door going in. It just seems like a safer entry rather than the door swinging out here and the door's over your head and running into it, and those kind of details. So that leads us to another question or comment that we've got over the couple of days. Is another person is building one of these trailers, and they wanted to put the doors like in the front and the back. They were talking about how close together to put them. Here we've got our doors are about 15 feet apart. And I really think that if you add the strength of the sidewall, now stop me if you've heard the thing about the sidewall and like jump ahead. All the strength of the trailer is in the sidewall, but you have to replace the strength. So here we've used a piece of heavy angle to replace the strength. And then you'll see later as we're finishing building this out to put the water tanks and all the under bottom storage, we'll weld and we'll even reinforce this again. But that's where the strength comes back from. So I don't think you'd have any problem if you return the strength to the sidewall, if you did the door every 6 feet, if you put a door 6 feet away. Now, one of the things that we did, and it couldn't be helped this time, but that's a great point. If you'll notice that the sheets on these trailers are in 4-foot sections. And so normally I try to make the door hole happen inside one piece of metal. But here you'll notice that this is an overlap. So it couldn't be helped because of the spacing. And then we got back here and I only cut through one rib. If you'll see here, this is one rib that goes up. So I only cut one. Obviously you could have slid the door down and cut two, but you want to only cut one. When we were up there where they were 1 foot apart, we only cut two. Obviously you could have cut three. Then the next thing we do, if we walk back up here to this door, and we'll show you how we're putting it in. But we reinforce the metal with this piece of heavy aluminum, and we riveted it every 2 inches to get the strength of this panel back. And again, see, we still had to cut again over a panel. We would prefer the door to have went here or to went farther back, but you see I cheated it back as far as I could where the bathroom is in the other room, and then it would have been too far because it would have got into that bunk if we'd have been in this whole panel. So that's one thing that we try to do. And if you can do it and move your stuff around, obviously it'd be better if you were in this one whole panel rather than having to cross it, but again, it's fine. Then you'll notice that we've reinforced this. So again, we're just trying to take the strength of all this heavy wood that the door has encased around it. And so we gain the strength of the sidewall of the exterior part and frame all that up to try to return the strength to keep that from compressing and doing. I really think that these are put together so well, and the fact that we're not loading these trailers that heavy as compared to what they are. This whole thing can gross 80,000, 90,000. and we're only typically grossing 50, so the trailer doesn't have the weight that it's designed for. I think you'd be okay with this, but certainly when we add this steel in, we don't have any problem. We could be right back to the trailer gross. But anyway, that was just one question that we've got from some folks. So then we take the brick mold and the interior trim that these doors come with, we take that off and just throw it away, and we're left with this. So what we do is we cut this interior width opening, and that's reflected here. And you see we let this piece of metal go over, so then this piece of metal is going to continue over and cover up this door jamb. It'll be covered up, and then we'll screw this in like every 6 inches. Then we'll come across that with that piece of angle back into here and then rivet it back. So we'll have the mechanical connection of the outside trailer skin to the wood, then we'll rivet it, blind rivet it to the piece of aluminum that's going to cover up this piece of wood. So that's a real good connection methodology that we use, and you can see in this detail how, of course, across the bottom we keep it flat, and then we inset these cuts, so then the door, this casing, falls in, and this opening is basically the size of this interior opening, and then the side that we cut from inside the trailer is this whole width. So another thing that we're doing, on the first sleeping trailer I bought a RV door. Didn't really like it, it's cheap, I had to rebuild it. And so then I went to these metal doors from Lowe's, and so, but I noticed they have composite doors. So this time what I did is I bought the same 32-inch door, so this one's composite and that one's metal, and we're gonna see which one does better because we'll have them in exactly the same environment. So we'll kind of be doing an A/B test on the doors. So when we get finished with it and we deploy it a couple of times, if you think back, then you'll know, and I'll be able to recommend if you should use the composite door or the steel door. All right, so this is just a little aside. So this is called a frame bolt, and the frame bolt has an integrated washer, and then it has an integrated washer on the nut with a lock nut detail on the top. So when we drill these holes now, this is a grade 8, and so it's a 5/16 hole, and this is aluminum, you know, H-beam. We drill 2 of these. We'll actually drill 4. There's 2 on each side, and that is the connection that we utilize to connect this piece to this aluminum. And I used to use just regular traditional hardware, grade 8 hardware, 5/16 with, you know, washers, lock washers, and nuts. But I bought the actual correct thing, and it makes it a lot easier. And that's just a little quick detail. Grade 8 frame bolt. All right, so come on inside, and now we'll show you where we're at, kind of on the back half of the trailer as we're sort of wrapping it up. So now we're starting to kind of bring this whole thing together so you can kind of see it. Ahead of this wall, 15 feet, we have the 2 bunks in the bathroom. And then this space on the floor, again, 1, 2, 3 plus that, showing about 12 feet, you know, 4 times 3 and then a little bit more. 13 feet, we're gonna add just a little bit more, maybe 2 more feet right here back to this bucket. And this will be the back half, or the back 15 feet. You can see the back of the trailer, and this is gonna be that flex space that we've talked about in the past, where we're gonna leave the logistics rails, and we're gonna be able to have a door out of the back of Stan's bunk, because the back bunk will be Stan's. And then we'll have the same bathroom with shower, and then we'll have the front bunk. And that construction is gonna be very similar to what you saw on the front. The other 2 bunks, each occupant is separated by the bathroom, even though we've just got a piece of 3/4 wood that's the walls. Since these 2 guys going bunk to bunk, back to back, we're going to use this piece of closed cell foam. You can buy this at Home Depot or Lowe's. It has an R value of 5 per inch, so this is going to give us an R10. You know, we're going to seal this up. This foam has a high density too. It's 25 pounds per square inch. So we're going to be able to put this in here, and then we'll put another piece of 3/4. So this will give us a nice high density wall, because there's a guy that'll be here in a bunk and there will be a guy on the other side. And so then, since they'll be that close, we're going to give them that insulation and that complete air gap separation. Again, kind of reminding you, you can see some of the details. We do a piece of the 1/2 inch sanded pre-finished plywood to the wall. We screw it in using the track. See how the wall was laid out on their vacuum table, and it stays flat with the integrated E-track in the wall. We find the interior rib, like this rib, we find that, and then we screw it off at the top to make the walls. We use a Vanatech. It's a 3/4 inch tongue and groove flooring system right to the flat floor of the aluminum reefer trailer. And that just gives us a great place to start building from. And we'll finish building the trailer out in the back half as we did the front half. Up here on the wall, we've got some questions from YouTube. And one guy came in and he asked us a question about lowering the floor, which is a great question. Now, in our trailers, and you'll see this later in the detail, we actually drop and build an underbay storage where we get the water tanks, the generator, the infrastructure of the trailer. So we build that under there. Lowering the floor would be a great thing. If you were going to build one, you could almost get away with a double decker feel, stack up some bunks and do some really neat things. I would suggest you start with a furniture trailer. You know, those are like a double drop step trailer that's like a van trailer. And you'll see that it has a low floor rise, maybe an 8-inch, 10-inch separation off the ground. And so you could do a lot more inside. So I have seen people actually do those. If you're gonna lower the floor, I'd start with a step van rather than a van like this and try to lower it. I think it'd be really expensive to try to get the floor to support and do that, but what a great question. And so if you think about using one of those step trailers though, just remember, it's very difficult to find those insulated. So those trailers are not insulated typically, furniture vans or whatnot. You know, you're just gonna have the outside aluminum and then the framing and then the logistics rail or the logistics post, and you're gonna have no insulation. So then you're either gonna have to strip the inside plywood and insulate or spray foam it, or you're gonna use up some of your space. So you're gonna gain that extra space and that convenience of getting in, but you're gonna lose the thermal envelope that you get with one of these trailers. So that's why I don't do it. And then people from YouTube have asked about the door detail. We went over that just a little bit. See how we've overcut the hole on the inside to allow for that real thick, heavy framing of the door, and it'll go into there. We'll run a screw flush, and then we'll have that piece of angle iron that locks it in. And so once the door goes in, another thing we do is this is overcut just a little bit, about 1/2 inch. So once I put some polyurethane sealant around this to seal this wood interface to the door, and then I polyurethane the piece of aluminum that seals over that, and then I overcut this about 1/4 inch, or leave me about an 1/18 gap all the way around. And then this foam, I just use a can of foam, the touching foam by different brands. Anyway, then I foam this back in and fill this all up with foam, let it squish out, cut it off, and then I polyurethane seal that, and then I frame in traditionally like you would in a home. So that's kind of how I get the door detail. And I think I put most of the strength back in there because when I put the aluminum pieces across, I retie and put 2 good rivets, deep rivets in these pieces of the vertical rib or the truss or the stud or the trailer rib, the sidewall, and I reattach it, get it connected, and then by framing all this out with a piece of wood all the way around it, when pieces of aluminum on the outside fail that's in shear like this, you know, they're gonna buck in and out. And so when we reattach them and get them mechanically in line, cutting a hole in it isn't as devastating as it would be just like it is now. Couple that with the framing, couple that with that big heavy piece of 2-inch by 1/4 wall angle under the bottom or 3/8 under the bottom, and then the frame that goes under it, and then another piece of 24-inch aluminum sidewall to bring that strength back in. I feel pretty good about it. And to the guy that asked the question about every 6 feet, I don't think you'd have any problem with the doors being 6 feet apart if you do the details like we talked about. All right, guys, well, thank you for following along for episode number 6, where we're talking about the doors, how we're kind of getting the flex space in the back finished up, and you can kind of get a visual representation of that, how we got the doors going in, different other aspects of the trailer, and just follow along. We appreciate you watching. In this video, we did a lot of questions and comments that came out of the comments below, so we'd really love for you to like and subscribe. One of the neat things that you need to do is go read the comments. The audience that we have developed here is quite fantastic. They've got a lot of experience, and I like putting these videos out nearly as much to see the comments, because people have got great experiences, great life experiences. They've been maybe in some industry that parallels, and man, the comments are really good. So we encourage you to leave a comment, send it to a friend of yours, or you know, a neighbor or somebody you know in the industry that would be interested in these kind of videos. And as always, we thank you for watching.